It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness.
All right. Big thanks to the Travel Bugs for the music and our featured patrons, the Caching Dead New York, Nicole, UDAC, the Dig Family, JB Opto, GeoVet91, Nitty Gritsky, E-Ray Bowl, Hoffer15, H2SG2, and our new patron, Kevin's to Betsy. You like that one?
Yeah, I love the creativity on the names.
I did too. Mine's not very creative. I love somebody's they just really are. There's so many great ones out there, geocaching names. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get the new famous blackout coin. Ooh. Oh, Ryan's looking for his. Jesse's got his. Thank you, sir. Oh, look, his is protected.
And then protected sleeve.
Ryan's treats his it's something of artwork there. He's got the old one too, but yeah, the green one is very rare, as you know, very rare.
I've got mine somewhere.
So apparently, yeah, I met Kevin, and it just, yeah, you're right. They are good people. All right. During geocaching items during the year, bonus content, invites to special events. We just wrapped one up, but you never know. There might be more on the horizon. You never know. We have a lot of cool things in store for the patrons as well as the public and everybody. So there's Scott.
There's always going to be more stuff.
There's always more stuff. Absolutely.
We're always trying to come up with something.
Oh yeah. We're always brewing something up for everybody. All right. So we got a lot to cover tonight. So let me welcome my co-host Jesse.
Good evening.
And let's jump right into show 175 as we talk about creating Geoart with Ryan Semmel, who's with us tonight. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Good evening.
Glad to have you on board tonight.
Glad you could take a break from hosting multiple megas and doing all kinds of things to be on the show for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the show without talking about Mega tonight. So
yeah,
kind of. I mean, it's kind of tied into a Mega, but it's not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. We might talk about that at some point a little bit.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know where the show's going sometimes. All right. Some news. Quick news. The link is available if you're not able to make the Podcast of Hope, which is on 12/1. Show 177 in a couple weeks. The 4th annual Podcast of Hope. If for whatever reason you can wait. We've got a ton of prizes that night. So if you want to give that night, you may be eligible for. We got a few prizes last year. We have times 50 this year.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of prizes.
Yeah. Did you see that whole list? Did you take a look at that whole thing yet?
I'm saying we just cancel it and keep it all for me.
Right. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff in there.
If there's any other charity, I could be on board with that, but not with St. Jude. I can't.
I just got another one, another vendor who I got. We got the details worked out. So they're going to give. A lot of them are giving stuff away. They want to give away one an hour for all 8 hours. So that's really cool. But if you want to give before that, you can. Fundraising.stjude.org/podcast of hope. It'll be in the show notes, and I will get the show notes up. I need last week's as well. I need to put both this week's and last week's. I don't like to get too far behind, but I'll get the show notes up because tonight's is going to be
In fairness, you have been kind of busy. Do you want to share what you've been busy with?
Yeah, we've kind of been doing this right here. Oh,
look at that.
Hey, look at that. Awesome.
I had to hide that from Gary because Gary wouldn't have done that if I wouldn't have.
That's right. No, okay. All right. I'm sharing it.
Gary and Susan finished the Texas counties.
We did. There we are.
Just a little driving.
Yeah. I was talking with Pathfinder 33 today a little bit, and he was asking me like, what was your favorite part? What was this? And I told him, I gave him some things, but we'll talk more about it later on.
Today, it's probably your favorite part is probably finishing, but give you a couple weeks to digest it, and then
right. Well, finishing it, and really, it's not quite done. Thanks,
right.
Leslie. Leslie and Adam did it. They did it. I mean, we really, Susan and I figured out we really kind of got started like being serious about it about February, and so it obviously can be done in a short amount of time if you really kind of give it a full effort. But a lot of windshield time, but got to see a lot. I mean, both Susan and I are from Texas, so it really kind of means a lot for us to have completed it. Both of us though, and we've traveled. We both traveled all over Texas before, but let me tell you, when you have to go to every county,
that's really traveling all over the state.
That's really traveling. Yeah. I mean, there are parts of Texas, obviously I'd never even been to. There are parts that are remote, as in you got an offline list, you got no connection anywhere. You look at your phone and it says no service. That's it.
Right.
And as I've told you before, there are places where we'd pull up, get the cash, and I'd kind of look around, and it's like you literally could like lay in the highway and I don't know how long and not see it. I mean, it was a little spooky. There was a couple times when it's like, if we break down, there is nobody and there is no signal. I mean, you're out. I mean, it's a little unnerving.
Yeah. Quick disclaimer. Any kids listening to the show, do not lay in the highway, as Gary just suggested.
Don't recommend this.
That is not recommended by Geocache Talk.
No.
And I know you want to get into it more later, but you have to, I would have to say, if for as long as I've known you, this is the most caching trips I've seen you go on ever has been related to this challenge.
Yeah, we got started. It was something of interest. Carrot Cat, that's Carrot Killer and Lady Black Cat. They did it and got us a little bit excited about it. And then last year, Pathfinder 33 knows, talking to him about it, and Tom and a lot of different other people. And but the last straw was David Vickery of Team D&D. We were in Seguin at the Texas Challenge, and I'm hanging around. I like going. You've been to a finishers event while we were there, and so I'm standing around. We're about to have the event, and I'm kind of talking about it a little bit. And how much windshield time today? I was like 12 hours. Tom, you know that we were all the way down in Brownsville yesterday, so it's a long way. It's a long travel. But talking to David, and he was like, "How long you been caching?" I go, "Well, we started in 2006," and he's like, he gives me this look like David can give, and he's like, "Well, I can't believe you haven't finished this thing yet." It's like, yeah, and I know David well enough to, I know David well enough to take what he's saying.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to be mean or anything. He just was having fun with me about it. And apparently he was laughing today because I sent a note to he and D, and I said that the bill, he must send a bill to him for that. But
that's funny.
He was laughing. But so once he said that, it was like, all right, it's on now.
Yeah.
You've challenged. You've thrown out.
That's all it takes.
Sometimes that's all it takes, right, Jesse? Somebody going,
right. I've done dumber things for a challenge, so
There's some, you get the whole, yeah, Jesse, I just don't think you can get that 5.5. I don't think it's possible. Nobody's got it yet.
No kidding.
All right.
Yeah. I've already met my deductible for the year, so it's on.
Right.
I've been to the ER enough this year. I can go and do whatever I want now.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you everybody for your kind comments and it's been a ride, as someone said. It's been a lot of fun. Looking forward to challenges in the future, but I got to finish this one too. We talked about before. I got to actually fill the paperwork in, so I got to get all that done.
That's right. It's an old school challenge where you have to have it verified and all that stuff.
Verified. Number has to be assigned after all that. They got to check everything out. So that's very cool. So, yep, it was great fun. We had a great time. Oh, can I show a video real quick?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Because I really think this is cool. Because,
8-hour podcast, 8 hours straight, in behalf of St. Jude's. Now, for those who don't know, St. Jude's is a children's hospital. Here's the amazing part. Number one, they do amazing work for the kids. But number two, they never bill the family. Literally, a family never gets a bill. They survive through donations. So we are asking, tune into that podcast and just donate to this amazing cause. Your co-hosts for the day are going to be Jesse and Gary. Yes, I thought it was a joke, but it is true. It is Gary, Jesse, and Gary. So you guys, December 1st, an 8-hour podcast. Okay, tune in and donate to one of, I believe, the most amazing causes there is out there. Imagine a sick kid, and then you have to worry about money. Not at St. Jude's. Donate. Jerry and Gail do. Bye.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
we got a note. Got a note back from him later on afterward, and he said, "Hey, you guys, I know I went off script. If you would like me to do it again, please let me know. I just really love St. Jude's and wanted to add a little extra begging, laugh out loud." So, because
I think it's perfect. I think it's great.
It was perfect,
and it's good that he did it. So
yeah, no, it was really cool. Yeah, you give them kind of a basic idea. Really, you don't give them a whole lot, but you give them a little bit of info, and he did. He knocked it out of the park. It was really, really cool to do that and to have him.
And anything we can do to bring more people to realize what we're doing and for this cause. So this is our time to do something good, and then after that we can be silly again.
Yeah. Tell D, thanks. Tell David, thank you. That's great. Oh yeah, they just missed it. Yeah. So last quick note, I want to get into this because we're 14 minutes in, and Scott's going to kill me if we don't get started.
That's right.
As he calls it, started. We've already started. We started 14 minutes ago. This is all good stuff, Scott. But we do have that's a huge announcement. Just the fact that we're able to get Jim O'Hare to do that was great. We're going to do, though, probably our biggest, you'd say it's our biggest announcement we've ever done.
Biggest announcement ever.
Biggest announcement ever. On Tuesday night, we're going to have a 0.5 show. It'll be a 175.5 show. I'll put it out, and we'll start promoting it as well as next week's show with the 3 Happy Campers. Looking forward to that. But yeah, 0.5 show on Tuesday. We like to not. We try to avoid Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays because of other geocaching shows or the geocaching hour. We don't want to step on their toes, but we had to fit that in because it's huge. It's the biggest thing I think has ever happened in a geocaching podcast, and we love all the podcasts, so we're not trying to be Cache the Line.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah. Biggest announcement ever. Yes.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I know we say that a lot because we're always doing something bigger, but this blows all of them out of the water. So in my opinion, it does.
I agree. It's something we won't be able to top for a long time to come. So, all right. Enough of me ranting and raving because
I've got one more news before we start the Geoart, and this is I had to tell on myself. So
go ahead.
I'm one of those that's lucky enough that I get a lot of the trackable promotions,
Right.
Well, I've been busy and had a lot of stuff going on outside of geocaching lately.
Right.
So I opened my email up this morning and I got a naughtygram. It said, "You have not sent out your turtle trackable. Shame on you. You said you were going to do it." And it's from geocaching.com. They go, "You agreed to do it. You need to send it out." I was like, oh, dang. So, how in the past they send them out and nobody puts them out? Well, they're following up on it this time. They're like, "You have not activated your trackable yet."
Wow.
I was like, oops. It's like, shame. I got shamed by geocaching.com, so I'm going to activate it this week now. I feel terrible.
Throwing shade from geocaching.com.
And, I'm always the one that says send those things out, and always do, but the one got in my way. Life got in my way this time, and I hadn't sent it out yet. I even have the toy for it.
Oh, you're like really sad.
I just got to send it out, yeah. And I just totally forgot,
That's awesome.
But shame on me. But okay, now we can get started. So if you haven't seen your trackable out, they're watching you this time.
Yep. Okay. So this is really going to be you two guys, and I'm going to kind of chime in and be devil's advocate tonight a little bit. But Ryan and Jesse kind of put their heads together and have come up with, I think, a really good plan to explain to people who have, I assume you guys are ready for knowledge of 0 to, I've put out Geoart before, somewhere in between those probably.
Right. This is just, we actually have two different opinions, not opinions, because we're not opposed and they're kind of a mix of each other, but two different methods.
Right.
For trackable shame. Let's hope that doesn't start as a hashtag, although that is kind of funny. We have different approaches to it.
Right.
Because there's tons of ways, right? If anybody's done GeoArt or been involved in it, there's tons of ways. So we're just going to talk about two different kind of styles and ways tonight.
Right. Sounds good.
But before we get to that, we'll start with, from the very beginning, idea to concept, the whole thing.
Sounds
so
good.
This would be for anybody that's ever done it or has never done it.
Cool. All right. Well, take it away, you two. Brian, thanks for joining too, because I know when I think of yours, I always think of the wagon wheel, but tell us a little about how you got started with that even.
Well, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. Starting with the planning process of it is one of your biggest things. And why are you planning on doing it? When you look at a Geoart, it usually has a theme either from an event or just a local reason. So is it, I know the bombers are near Air Force bases.
Cool.
You name it, or up in, what's the one you've been putting out all week? The train.
Oh yeah, the train in Idaho. That is really cool.
So I've got a couple of them I'm going to flash on the screen for the people that are watching the show. Obviously, the audio listeners won't have it, but
right.
Here's one that's a bear chasing a guy.
Yep. A lot of people are really like, where is that? And I don't know if I could really give a full answer. I think it's in Australia.
Here's the one that was in Colorado. That was a one from a few years back. We'll mention it later because I was involved in this one.
Cool.
Here's one
I like that one.
That one's overseas somewhere. I'm not sure where it is.
Right. I like that one. Remember that one for a little bit later when we get into the next subject.
So here's a couple different examples of a couple different ones, and we'll reference these again later. But there's that jet.
Yep.
But so anyway, you can build some pretty elaborate pictures with it.
Yeah, my first one I ever did was actually over in Germany, and it was geocaching forever. It's an old one,
like the words written out.
I probably have the coin over there somewhere. They actually did coins for completing it. It was like 254 mystery caches. So
there are some limits on it, though, right?
What's that?
I would suspect that you need to be thinking about what you're doing. The agenda would still apply, the agenda rules, so you couldn't push an agenda based on it, probably.
Oh, that's true.
You would probably have to be really careful about any trademark logos.
Yeah, you do a swoosh. I think you're going to be.
Yeah, you do a swoosh, and
a lot of people push it when you are looking at a lot of the Star Trek, Star Wars ones that are out there.
Yeah,
right. Disney owns all that.
Because you got to remember, it's the likeness of is what they come out to say on a lot of these things.
And basically, you're okay until you're not okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody getting a slap on it for it yet. So
I haven't yet, but I wouldn't push it. But whatever you're doing, think of your art ahead of time. Think of whatever logo or art or writing. It can just be words out there too. But definitely think about that, because once you start it, you're not going to want to go back and redesign. There's a lot of work. When you're in the very first conception stage, really plan out and bounce that idea off somebody else. That image, if turned upside down, may look like something else. We won't get into that.
Yeah,
There's some chances of that happening.
You want somebody to
we have one out here.
We
have one out here. It's actually a tulip. But if you go from south to north, flip it over, it looks like a Pac-Man ghost.
Oh,
So you just gotta watch how you make it, everything like that. So
right.
Look, she was trying to sneak away without getting caught.
Hey,
she was sneaking around the studio.
I like that. Yes, we have lots of guests in the studio sometimes.
That's right. Pac-Man. Oh yeah, that's another likeness too. But there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of Geoart out there, and if you want to be inspired by ideas, just get on Facebook or just Google geocaching Geoart, and there'll be images for days.
Yeah,
there's actually a couple Facebook groups out there also.
Yeah.
Usually when a new one comes out, it goes on to those sites.
One of the things that you guys know we'll talk about tonight, and one thing that I think somebody who I had zero knowledge about Geoart, and that is something I should have thought about it beforehand, but was how do you get permission to put caches in some of those places? And then I was talking to Ryan when we were in Mingo planning. He was like, they're virtual. You don't have to have that guy's permission. You need to have the permission of where the container is. Like, oh, they're virtual. What am I thinking? Of course. Now, I guess, and then I was talking with Jeff May about, he did one, I think it was literally physical, but that's a lot of work to try to make the artwork physically instead of.
Yeah, if you have a wide open space, you can do, you have some, if you're doing roads, you're obviously going to have to move them around. So,
right. But,
and that goes, actually, it's a good segue into the next part that we were discussing with the planning process.
Yeah.
Is what types of caches do you want to use? So in the Geoarts that you were showing earlier, usually when you think of a Geoart, most of them are going to be mysteries.
Right. That's the one I always think of first.
Because it's easy to place the icon somewhere, and then your cache has to be within 2 miles.
Right.
So it's very easy to actually do that one. Another one a lot of people do use is a traditional if you have a wide open space. So there's pros and cons to all of them.
Right.
Of course, the pro to the mystery is the distance. You got plenty of distance to be able to put your actual physical container. With the traditional, you need a big open space. That's why if you notice a lot of your traditional ones are out in the desert areas because you have a lot of open space where you can walk to and get to a cache. Then you also have the multi, which you have to have that physical location at that first location. So,
or at the final, you mean?
Yeah, there's different ways to do a multi, but you've got to have stages anyway.
Yeah,
you have to have at least the 2 stages. And the first one, you can have either an actual container or some type of sign to have to get some information off of to do a field puzzle or however you want to call it with the multi. So multiple stages.
Right.
But that first one, those coordinates are taking you to that location.
Our key.
You can also do an intercache.
Yes.
Oh,
that'd be a multi.
That's true. That's interesting. Yeah.
But you haven't mentioned the actual best cache type yet.
I think it's, and I even was talking with you earlier in the week, the most underrated type for a Geoart
For Geoart.
For a Geoart.
For any caching ever. Go ahead.
For a Geoart, one of the most underrated is actually Where I Go, because if you keep it set as you showed last week, as a play anywhere, I can sit here in Manhattan, Kansas, and solve the cache wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Put it as a corrected coordinate and go out and find that Geoart.
Yeah.
As
Eric said,
I was trying to put him in there. Yeah.
Yeah, we both.
So Eric's got a great one, and it actually bumps in the edge of states to the shape of a bird, and it's a great one. All of Where I Goes.
Cool.
I got to do that on a trip recently where I ended up at Zach's house, and that was a great Geoart, and we'll get into reasons why that was a great one, but there's a lot of things he did. He incorporated it into it that made it a really good one. But he used Where I Goes, and it played really well. And letterbox, you can do letterbox as well.
Yeah, how to talk a little bit about how Owen mentioned that one from KC for the audio listeners. He mentioned letterbox. How just in general would you do a letterbox?
So I've actually been involved in one of those before. You could either do a pin location, just like other ones, right? And then you walk to the final.
Okay.
Or many letterboxes are just right where they are. You know what I mean? They just have a stamp in them.
Okay.
A letterbox can be any type of cache. So we were just talking about the other types of caches. Any of those can be a letterbox. By definition, a letterbox, all you need is that stamp in it.
Except for Where I Go. If you use a Where I Go, it's a Where I Go.
Yeah.
Because it trumps all other types. See that right there?
Wow. I don't know about that, but
we need to change that guideline.
Oh, look at that. Somebody mentioned earth caches. I
want to see that.
How you would ever make that work.
That would be awesome.
Wow. But
that in virtual.
Could you imagine?
I want to see a virtual made Geoart.
Yeah.
There's enough virtuals out there. It could happen right now.
You need a lot of friends who got one of the rewards.
Yeah.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I know you're not a huge fan of earth caches, but can you imagine, Jesse, if you got
I'd go for that.
I mean, that's a challenge to try to
No, that person needs to have an award, because if you can make it earth caches into you must be in the middle of I don't even know where you are to do that.
It's like a blob. It's Geoart. It's a blob of earth caches.
It's a circle.
Yeah.
Well, if you made a perfect circle, though, I'd be impressed with that too. That'd be cool.
Even a circle would be good. Yeah, that would be pretty wild.
There is, as we talked about before, there is the Where I Go. It's in Oklahoma, near Oklahoma City. I showed that this week on Twitter, which is a cowboy hat. I thought that was pretty impressive.
Actually, a group from Topeka was just down there last week. Kevin's the Betsy was down there.
Cool.
A couple others were actually down there last week. I had a football game or something going on last week.
Yeah.
I couldn't go down and do the cowboy hat. So
yeah.
But keep going on through the planning. So we're still just in the planning phase of it. One of the other things where
event Geoart. That's somebody that thinks like I do.
That would be possible too, though.
Oh yeah, no, it ain't gonna. I will give somebody an award. I don't care where in the world you make that happen. I will be there. Because you
have to put them all. Reviewers. You have to put them all in a straight line, so you can call it event stacking.
That's right.
Oh right, that'd be funny. Make it look like pancakes. So
there you go.
Oh, now look how creative these people are.
I tell you,
Tom. Use event caches as a fuse to a TNT art.
That's perfect. I love it.
That is awesome.
Oh man, our chat room, it's hilarious sometimes. Yeah. But one other thing we gotta look at.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Is where you want to have it. So when you look at most Geoarts, they're either in a big park or area, and the other one is on a big dirt road, back road areas.
The actual caches, right?
The actual, you would put the art over it also, because you have to be within 2 miles.
Yeah, right. The actual container. Okay, right.
So the container has to be within 2 miles of most of your types. So if you have a big park in your area that has a lot of trails, it's possible to do. Or if you have those back roads, That's where you get in some trouble because some of your, as we all know, some of your farmers think they own all the way to that middle line of that road.
That is a good time to tell a story.
There we go.
Here is a Geoart that was on back roads. There was 1,005 caches in this, and it was puzzles, where I goes, letterboxes, traditionals. It was all of them. It was a big. You could see it from the map before even zooming in. Right, it was huge. It covered like square mileage the size of like Rhode Island. It was huge.
Right.
We had a whole committee doing it. We spent 9 months working on it. They went out and talked to like the local Chamber of Commerce. They talked to everybody, got exact permission because these are all public spaces. They put all of those. Well, as Ryan mentioned, not all people believe that public spaces are public spaces. We actually, the reason why it got closed down was because somebody had a shotgun pulled on them.
Oh my God.
A farmer pulled a shotgun on somebody because they thought that was their area. So cautionary tale, just because it's public, go ride those roads. Go make sure that nobody has their own claim to that or anything else. This is a game that we're supposed to have fun with. You don't want people having guns pulled on them.
Yeah.
And don't do it sight unseen for sure. Drive the roads many times. Make sure there's no weird easements. Spend some time out there. And when you're on the back roads, even if permission's not an issue, and you get permission and you talk to because if you do a Geoart, people are coming to it. So you need to talk to your local people, maybe even the local, if they're sheriff or city police or whatever, talk to them so they know what's going on. But also make sure there's a place to park. So if you don't pull off into a farmer's area, right? You're not supposed to be pulling off into people's driveways and all this other stuff. I mean, you're sending hundreds of cars there. So really scout the area out and make sure it's safe for everything, not just permission, but safe for people. When you do it, people are going to show up. So
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, and and especially when it first comes out, a lot of people are coming.
Yeah, that's one thing. Couple things that we're doing. Ryan's, talking about farmers' property. Mingo, for the Mingo event, we're gonna have a lot of people out at that mega. We are gonna provide the farmer. We're gonna put out some fencing for him, so that he feels comfortable with us, being there and that kind of thing. Right, Ryan? You talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we talked to the farmer during one of the visits.
Yeah. And then ahead of time.
Yeah.
Then we even are looking at maybe Geoart during Mingo Madness.
Whoa.
But what we looked at, and I did the same thing we talked about. I just saw Tom mention earlier the wagon that we did for Moga 2017. So one thing I did was I sent a letter to all the local landowners.
Yes.
And I did that 6-7 months out.
Wow, that's good.
And of course, not everyone gets it because you don't know who works that land.
Right.
But if you send it out and people know about it, you're less likely to have issues.
Yep.
Not saying you won't have issues, but you're less likely.
Well, it's always possible when you had a cache or a bunch of caches, right? And that's a good time to bring up that if you're wanting to hide some Geoart, it doesn't have to be 1,000 caches. A Geoart can consist of 20 caches, and you could build a picture with 20 if you wanted to. It doesn't have to always be a huge mega project. It can be like you can scale this to any size.
So we need to back up a second. So that's kind of a big announcement there, Ryan. We're planning a Geoart for Mingo Madness. Is that true?
Oh, did I say that?
You weren't supposed to be talking about megas tonight.
I don't know. That deserves See,
I've got to remember to delete that thing. You got to take that button away from you.
You see what happens when I turn the reins that you turn the reins over to me to be the color commentator.
I know it's terrible. It's terrible.
Okay, all right, back on track. But no, Tom, not correct. But that's an interesting idea. But no, we got something else cool in the plans for. But and that's something that again I learned a lot being with Ryan as we started working on the Mingo Madness Geoart. It was really cool. I mean, that was really neat. So y'all keep going.
Okay, yeah. Think of your art ahead of time. Scout the area, decide what you want to do, what icon type, where I go, obviously, or the other ones if you want them, and then really, plan that out. Get your permission. Get your team together. You're going to need a team if you're going to make a big one. And then now it's time to start your planning.
So this is where myself and Jesse separate a little bit in creating. And of course, technology. Jesse may get a point for the win for this one due to the fact I spent about 8 hours over this week setting up a Geoart for the week. Well, the computer I set all that up on is the one that's giving us glitches. So we may not be able to actually look at all the wonderful work I did, but I did just open up because I actually use Google Earth. I know there are some people that will use different types of things. So what I did was I can show you a few things on my Google Earth here that I have on the computer. If you're listening, sorry, I haven't figured out how to show you all of it, but let me go here and share the screen.
Yep.
Too much work here. I'll tell you all these technical things.
Is it that one? No, not that one.
That one kicked me off. I'm trying to see if we'll get back on it here. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Actually, Memphis, go ahead and talk about the way that you do it first.
Okay.
Since your way of doing it started before technology.
That's good.
So I've been involved in a few different Geoarts, the big scale ones and some of the smaller ones. What I found out works just as good for me is going old school with it. So what I do is I use 3 tools that are offline tools. My pencil.
Yep.
My ruler.
Yep.
They're matching pink because I stole them from Miley.
Thank you, Miley, for helping.
And here's my high-tech piece of technology right here.
Ooh, check that out. You grid it out. Whoa, okay.
Yep. So that's a simple piece of graph paper. And for me, this helps really figure out how I'm going to do the art. So what I do is if I find my starting point, so I've scouted my area, maybe I've hidden my caches in the area. If I'm going to do back roads or if I'm going to do trails in a park, I'll go ahead and hide them. So I have a list of where all my caches are,
right?
And I'll grid off that area. So like on mine, I started with a coordinate in the bottom right corner. The reason I did that is each section of the graph paper, you can scale it up from there. But on mine, I have it go up by 100 each time.
Right.
So like it starts off at west 104, 32, 000. Well, the next one is 100. So I scaled it off like that, both north and west, as I went from, to the left and up on the paper. So now when I do it, I can I get my design how I want it on that paper there.
Right.
And then it's really simple to, so let's say I'm going to build some art that looks like, here's some art.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
So that's, now if I was doing this, I would do it from left to right, but you could do it depending on where you want to do it. If you want to do east or west, however you want to do it. So each one of those now that crosses any of those lines in there, it's really simple to get your coordinates very close to accurate based on that. So if it's in the middle of the line,
right,
it's 50 instead of 100. But the good thing with this is I've seen, at least for the initial stages, and so I'll put that art on there. I'll go through. And so for the audio listeners, I drew out the Geocache Talk logo and wrote Geocache Talk below it. Now, the good thing is, depending on my area, that Geocache Talk could be, I could scale that down and I could make that within a mile. I could make it really close and tight. Or if I didn't like that, I could make that as big as, that could be a 5-mile square radius or more if I wanted to. And all of that is based on how I set it up on my graph paper.
So, and the other key to that, I guess, is you have to, and this is I guess my biggest question is at this point, you got to then figure out where your physical is.
Yep.
And you got to really keep that in mind. You probably have to constantly check your paper there to make sure that 2 miles is, you almost look like you can almost make on your grid a separate piece of paper that's like 2 miles.
That's the second list that I do. I keep the actual coordinates on a list, and I keep the other ones on a list.
Oh, okay.
And I just check the distance between them all before I'm done. But and
yours probably a paper list, isn't it?
Do what?
And you still use a paper list between the two of them, right?
No, actually, I'll use just a Google Excel sheet or whatever. A Google.
Okay,
sheet.
so we're the same on that.
Yeah. I just like this part to start off because I can mess with the art, scale it however I want, and then once I get them pretty close, I load up my cache pages. They're empty still, but I load up the coordinates on the cache pages that I have laid out, and because they're not published cache pages, I can still look at them in Cachely. So then I'll put them in Cachely, see if I like it. If I don't, I'll adjust them. So I've got them live on the map, on the geocaching map, but nobody else can see them, obviously, because they're not published. So then I can go through and adjust and see that I have the art exactly how I like it, that It matches my art. It could be a little tedious for some, but for me, I can do it. Then I can scale it up. I don't have to go back to Google Earth. I can scale it up or down on my paper right there and easily make the calculations because I've already got it on graph paper.
One thing too, Dusty's bringing up is that without color, logo looks like a field goal on an air up mattress. But he does bring up a good point, and that is you might want to, on that piece of paper there, just is when you start to think about that you might want to use different cache types, and if you coordinate your cache types correctly, you might be able to augment or make your Geoart look a little better. Like the railroad in Idaho, which is a very elaborate, but they've got the smoke, and the smoke is obviously a different color on a map until you find them all, but it's a different look to it because of the fact that those are blue. They used the mystery cache versus using, you could use traditionals in certain parts because of the
absolutely
color. Yep.
And the way I would do that if I was going to do it here is I would just use different colored pens to make those marks, and then I can really get an idea because I can do one of these sheets in no time.
Sure.
And I can trash that and throw that away and play with that as much as I want to, and you can get actually really precise on graph paper and just a ruler. You don't need to, you don't need to have, I know it's not the high tech way, but it's a way that I can scratch and play with the art and do a lot of things that I want to do and adjust it a lot before I start plugging in the cache pages and plugging in Cachely.
Gotcha.
Now, are you more of an artist though, Jesse? Do you draw?
I can draw, so that does help. I'm able to hand draw a lot of things.
I'm a stick figure type person.
Hey, that's good Geoart too, a stick figure.
Well, yeah, I saw the running man away from the bear, but I couldn't do the bear, so it'd just be the running man.
Right.
So we'll see if this computer will work there, Gary, if you want to pull up the other.
It was up, but it's gone now. Can you share the screen again?
Yep. And see, this is the bad part about technical issues.
Well, that one though is we looked at earlier. We'll look at here in a second, but yeah, that.
But the way that I do it is I'm able to not steal, but utilize anything from the internet.
Yep.
So let's see if it will pull it up here. So I also went with the geocache logo.
Yay. All right.
Because, we're all geocache logo.
It's currently not connected, but it's coming up. Okay, that one's up. So now do the share screen on that guy.
All right.
Yeah, we're working on that. Eric's right.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that my way is better. It's just a different way for people that don't want to use Google Earth or they want to have a different option or maybe even start off differently. And then they start plugging stuff in once they get their ideas squared away.
Yep.
So we're not saying this is not a battle show like we normally have. This is a different option show. So
and it is. And there's different options even with Google Earth. One, you have to get it to actually work. But I've seen a lot of videos where they'll sit there and they'll go through.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I did there was I just went in and imported an image. And when you import an image, one of the benefits it gives you is the transparency up on the top. I clicked on it. We'll see if it pops up.
Yeah. See if you can make it. Right.
There it is. So you can actually make it more transparent. So if you notice, I went to about 50% on the geocache logo there. And then what I did was I went through and added different points.
Right.
So you just go through and you add your different points in.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you can do different colors for different things. So I'm going to do a couple just to show you it goes through. And now I'm just going to show all of them in place. And it's going to take a minute because that computer is lagging.
That's okay. So that's interesting. Yeah. So using Google Earth is cool in the sense that you could then get a really good idea of where.
And one thing I like about it is you can go through, and when you actually go through your different ones, you can do, that's on the road, so your traditionals can be on the road. I actually do the art first. I actually do it kind of backwards of what Jesse was saying. I do the art first, and then I'm able to fulfill the caches into that.
Yep. Can you blow that up a little bit now that it's fully up? Can you
zoom in?
Zoom in. Keep it going.
I think that's what you need to hide from Mingo right there.
Yeah, really.
So
push for that, right?
Just slowly working, zooming in there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. There's a good shot of it. So let's talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about this one for a minute. So the idea then would be that each of those you're going to obviously make your cache page. Do you? And I'm assuming that you guys would let your reviewer know before you do anything else.
Yes.
This is a Geoart. Here's what it is. Kind of work with them a little bit, and then I guess the biggest trick is that you got to really kind of know that this is going to work. I mean, because you don't know until it's published, right?
You can see it within. That's the good thing about talking to your reviewer to make sure. First thing I would say, if you're looking at an area, is solve all the puzzles in the area.
Oh, true.
I've seen people try to put puzzles out or put small Geoart out, and right in the middle is a final to a puzzle. Or some of your old multis. Some of your old multis would go 50 plus miles. So I would have a multi that started 50 miles away and actually finishes right in the middle of this park that I want. And one of the other things that I didn't show just because of the computer issue, what I usually do is I will go into whatever you use, either just the regular geocaching.com or even go into GSAC. I'm a GSAC user. Go into GSAC, pull all them in, make a GPX file, and you can pull them up onto your Google Earth. So you can see if there are caches in the area, and if there's puzzles, make sure you have those finals.
Yes.
That burnt turtles brings up a good idea. You could, if you had a big field, you could hide like a sad face, and if you went and found them, I mean, it would switch over the smiley faces where they actually are. Could be a smiley face at the end.
Oh yeah, that's true.
A sad face to a smiley face on your map. That would be pretty cool.
That would be cool. Leslie brings up a point about a good thing about Cachely is you can submit them.
And
that's what
again, that's another aspect that we're going to touch on. There's so many ways to do it.
I liked also. I was gonna say real quick is what you mentioned and it's something I never thought of, but I got a kick out of your. It's obviously a real, what am I trying to say? Say it, Gary. Term is which is
Geograffiti?
Geograffiti, yeah.
Yeah.
So you could have geograffiti in the middle of your Geoart, but
There's not really a lot you can do to stop that either. But
there's nothing you can do to stop it, for one. But you want to at least have it clean so you can get that nice Facebook photo before somebody puts a graffiti on there.
Right.
So
right,
you don't want to start with the
I
graffiti
assume,
already in the middle.
I assume the other ones, and we have to get somebody to tell us in here, because Cashly's what I use, and I put my caches on there, and then I can check the art or whatever as I change it, like we're talking about.
Right.
When we did ours,
Droid or the other ones would do the same thing. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure on those.
Yeah.
When we did ours, we used GSAC, and I had another person did all the Bianchi's did all that for me. He's a GSAC genius, and he was able to do it all before it was published. So you can actually build the cache pages. Once you build the cache page, he has macros that can put all the information in.
Right.
One of the biggest things that we made a mistake of is make sure one of the first things written on it, as in any mystery, was the cache is not at the posted coordinates.
Right.
Because even the wagon went through some private property. Well, it wasn't at the top. It was down at the bottom that the cache was not in. So we had some people trying to go in the field. So that's a lesson learned for us.
Yeah. GSAC, in case people are wondering if they're not familiar with, we refer to GSAC, it's geocaching Swiss Army knife, GSAK.net.
See, there's a reason I don't use that system. It's because I don't know how to use that system.
Right. Well,
that's why I get old paper. Look at
that. Before we get off that topic, though, I do want to mention something too, because people who have never talked to their reviewer before, maybe if you let them know what you're doing, even on puzzles, they obviously are not going to solve a puzzle for you, but I think, at least I know in Texas, if you ask them, say,
yes,
we're wanting to put Geoart in this area, can you just let me know if there's a puzzle that would be a problem? And they can check that area and they can tell you, yes.
You'll have a problem. They won't tell you which one.
No.
Yeah.
But at least then you can kind of go, okay, well, we need to figure this out.
But even if there's one and he checks them all, because you'll check them all before they come out,
right,
you can just go move that final of that one.
Yeah.
As long as you keep it within 2 miles, you're okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's one of the most tedious parts of Geoart, is actually putting the logos to the page.
Right.
Or where you actually have to use your mind more. One of the other things is once you actually build the cache pages, that's true on GSAC. It's not available on Mac.
It's not.
So that's another reason you don't use it, right?
That is another reason, yes.
Thanks for mentioning that's for another show.
That's for another show.
Thanks, Curious KDB. Appreciate it. I need to not be in the color chair much, because I'm way too. You do a better job of not getting distracted like I do. I get distracted.
That's why, if you notice, I haven't been looking at the chat room tonight because I know I get distracted.
But that's a couple different methods that we're using. Even we're starting at the same place, and we have a few different methods we're going through now, but that gets you back to the same place. And the key is that prep work ahead of time, right?
Right.
Now that you mentioned the geograffiti, I think we need to do a whole nother show on just finding some Geoart out there and adding some extra caches to it. Now we'll start a whole new terrible trend.
Oh my, that would be bad.
Add an extra little stick figure chasing through the Geoart or something.
Yeah,
that would be terrible. But okay,
all right.
But yeah, then comes down to probably. So the first one, you actually have to use your mind more with actually creating the logo. For me, one of the hardest parts is actually coming up with the cache pages, because now you're looking at however many caches you have in that Geoart. Right. You are now creating that many cache pages. So I know, like I said, I know mine is talking to friends and using GSAC to be able to put the information in. Right. But you're still going through and updating the coordinates as the finals for if we.
I go old school. I do them all by hand.
Do you really? You put them all in?
Now I'll design a good cache page, and I'll cut and paste the cache page.
Sure.
But each of the other ones I do by hand because I do that pretty early in the process. So when we get to the end, I've already got a head start because I put in those coordinates early on because I want to see what the pins look like. Yeah. So I want to see, that's how I go through Cachely and look at my art is with those cache pages.
And we do the same thing with GSAC. It's most of your basic information, or if you ever did the wagon for Moga, all of our Geoart, all you are able to do is open up those pages in mass. So then you can just go in and paste the Geoart or the image that we used for the wagon because the picture had the final.
And that's where Eric says, building 100 plus cache pages is the worst. It is.
That's where a team
it takes time to do it, but it can come out with a pretty spectacular picture at the end if you do it. But
I was going to pull it up, and I'm not finding it, but I want to talk about it because people can find it and look at it. But something that was very impressive, and we really can't get into it tonight. That's really for another show. But one of the things that TT02 brought up the other day when we were talking, TT02 was saying that, check out the one in Texas. And it is very impressive, the fact that they could build a Longhorn that is, we'll get to
that in a second, but go ahead.
But real quickly, something to look at, and that they created their Geoart with challenge caches.
Mm-hmm.
That whole Longhorn thing for Geo Woodstock is all challenge caches. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive to create. It's one thing to create, cool unknowns or question mark caches, however you want to, whatever mystery caches, however you want to say it. But to create each and every one of those was a
those are individual challenges.
Yeah,
that was not cut and paste.
No, that's not. That's
it does
crazy.
present a different problem though, and that's what was just mentioned. So if you're going to have a mega and you're going to do a Geoart for it, and let's say it's 100 of them, it's an average size Geoart, right? It's 100 of them,
right?
And you have this is a small mega, so 500 people come into it. 500 people times 100 caches all go into your email in a weekend. That is a bad idea. So some people will do it under a group account.
Yeah.
And then they'll switch them out later and let people own it later.
Right.
However, by the rules, if it's a challenge Geoart, you have to be qualified for it to put it out.
Oh, so you can't do a sock puppet account for that.
So you shouldn't be able to do a sock puppet account for that.
Right.
Now that your viewers may let you for mega, their guidelines, not rules, right? So you could always ask. But that could present a problem for you if you're doing challenges because a sock puppet is not going to be qualified for the challenges.
Right. Well, one thing that this brings up, though, is you might be able to do your Geoart as a group, as a team. You could like 12 people together to do something like if you needed to. But, Sodak Zach brings up an interesting point, which is to try to do instead of doing it in that way, how about switching it up and making it into like a fizzy grid thing, which is what he did.
So Zach actually did that, and he did it right too.
Okay.
So that we all know there's some bogus fizzies out there.
Yes.
We won't even get into that. That's another show. But if you're going to do a real fizzy and make them actually difficulty in terrain,
right.
You have to do some serious planning. Now he did that, and he did one where there's tree climbs and there's wading through water and everything else. That's legit. But if you're going to stick by the rules, that's an extreme amount of planning. So now you're not just putting them along the side of the roads. You have to find actual places to put them, and create those difficulty and terrains that are accurate. So that's an extreme work of patience there.
Right. I like the TDH Rider, the Hatch Fun Geoart. They ask people, You have to be willing to after the willing to adopt the caches after the first year, so the maintenance would be easier to manage. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, and I think that's really smart.
So you're talking about making a sock puppet account for the different Geoarts. So as everybody knows, I had Moga 2017.
Yep.
I just pulled open my Gmail account, which was flinthills@gmail.
Right.
And it is currently, because I don't delete emails anyway, if anybody's ever seen my phone,
right.
It's currently at 89,000 emails.
Woo!
Yeah. I did that for Geo Woodstock 14er, and I'll never do that again. I made that mistake.
So if you want me to read the email, usually don't send it to the Flint Hills geocachers
because
Gmail, because that one definitely gets full. You can tell when people come into town because that one has the 105 counties, which were all traditionals, and then 254 Geoart ones.
Wow.
Right. So maintenance. So this is a good time to talk about maintenance of your Geoart, right? That includes the email. So you're supposed to be, the email has to exist. So they have to, you're going to get that log. So whether you're going to take that Geoart, say it's 100, you may want to split that to 10 different people afterwards to own them and help maintain them. But you have to also physically maintain a Geoart, because when somebody comes through a Geoart, anybody that's done a Geoart knows it's like a tornado coming through.
Yeah.
Yes.
People are coming through fast, high speed, running through. They're not, things get messed up in a Geoart. So you have to have a maintenance plan to get out there and keep it up to speed. You don't want 3 of your points to go missing and then your art's messed up.
Right.
And it's important to actually listing do not find, because 254 caches on a Geoart, it's important for a DNF, or most of mine have my phone number on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go do a Geoart, I would recommend, especially if it's after the fact, like if it's for an event and it's after the fact, you look at it, nobody's found it in a month or whatever, contact the CO, because I've done this numerous times. Somebody's contacted me saying, hey, I'm coming the middle of nowhere, Kansas. I want to do your wagon Geoart, and I also help out with a couple other things in the area. Yes, it is. Full-time job.
Yes, it is.
And what they do is they say they're coming out. Well, I'll send them out with 15 to 20 bison tubes with fresh logs, and about 50 to 100 fresh logs, because depending on the last time I did it, because if they need a new log, they can replace it and go on. And most of your cachers who are going out with those fresh logs like it, because they take the old one out, throw it in the baggie, and they can already have that sign, put it in the container, and keep moving. So.
And that's the thing too. So we're not going to get into the ethics of that right now, because that's for another show, right? But
yeah,
I have to refill. That's too many. That's for another shows tonight. We're hurting people.
We're really.
So when you set out a big Geoart like this, unless they're anchored in place, you got to remember that people play the game differently.
Yep.
So some people will go out and they'll stop at each one. They will pick it up, sign it, put it back down exactly where it was. Others come through at fast speed, pick it up, throw it back. Others will switch the log and baggie out. Others will not leapfrog, but
switch the container.
Switch the containers out. They'll pick it up, throw it back down. It'll be a brand new container. It'll be a different container than you hid. I mean, when you have these big things like that, you got to realize that you're creating a numbers run for somebody, which means they're probably going to come out as a group. Very often people are going to come out as a group, and they're going to be flying through there.
And once you saw, and that brings up a good point, once you solve a Geoart, it is now a trail.
Yeah.
It's now a Geo trail. It's a numbers trail.
Yep.
And that's what people forget is, oh, well, it's my Geoart. No, once you solve it, like somebody said earlier, it becomes its own little Geoart, because it's going to go down road zigzagging all the way down.
Absolutely.
So all people are going to do is come out for a numbers run, and like right here in my area with the wagon and the 99 problem, you get people come in and get 400, 500 caches in a day.
Right.
So it's one of those things. In the same way, if you are just going to do that, I've been out to do maintenance on certain stretches of that and found 4 containers.
Right, because people are, Happy Hodag was 3 cash
Monty.
it's about the way it is. You don't know what it's like. Well, which one is it? Which one is it? Which one?
But when you're setting up a GeoTrail, a Geoart, you have to keep that in mind, right?
Right.
And if, like, let's say it is like we talked about earlier, like it is on back roads, and people are going to come out in groups, and these are really back roads, like some of the stuff Gary's been going through in Texas, or some of the stuff like in Colorado. That's good to put on the cache page. Like, this is what the conditions are for these when you're building that, that paste log. Hey, there's no gas out here, or during winter, this gets real dangerous, or do not pull off the shoulder because you'll be stuck there and you'll be living there.
Right.
Put those conditions on the, when you're writing up, like Eric in the chat room has got on his, if somebody goes and looked at his bird Geoart, he's got a really good write up in his, and it's designed well. It looks real good. Spend some time on that page because you're really just building one, right?
Yep.
You're probably going to cut and paste them to the other 99. So make it a nice, good, pretty page.
Hey, Eric, if you're still on too, if you would put in the chat room at least one of the GCs, that way people can obviously people can go from there. But if they can see one GC code, then maybe they can use that as a reference point. Because like you said, he does such a great job of providing the information, because a lot of times that's what people really are looking for. Is like, well, where can I try to find good info? So when I create mine, I can give the correct, give good information.
Right. And his is a good example too. So we'll keep picking on his for a little while.
Yeah.
His is really good because he had different difficulties and terrains, for his, where it goes. I don't think the difficulty was different. I think the terrain was different, right?
Okay.
But they were legitimate. So his were all out all over the place or wadaver. And we had a rental truck when we were going and finding these. And we were standing on top of the cab of the truck. Don't listen to Hertz. Hertz Rental Car Company, we didn't really do that.
No, really not.
We were driving in ditches. We were doing all kinds of stuff. And there's water and stuff because he made his interesting, right? So just because it's a Geoart doesn't mean it has to end in just a straight down the road GeoTrail. You can still make interesting hides. You can, you don't lose the rules of geocaching because of it. If you're going to do that, warn people. Let them know. He did a good job too, but let them know, hey, these are not straight down a power. This is not a power trail, right? If it is a power trail, tell them it is. At the end of it, power trail. If it's not, say, hey, this is a little more difficult. You may need some tools for some of these. It's going to take you some time. Because it took hours to get out there.
Sure.
We were late into the night, and
that's the fun part. That's the fun of doing those.
Right. There's nothing to say that the containers can't be painted up, themed. When we originally did our Geoart for Colorado, each one of those original containers, which I know that we all knew they were going to be gone in no time, had a label of the Geoart on the container.
Oh, cool.
Now that didn't last, of course.
No, but
those got moved all over the state. Those containers were popping up in caches all over the state. But
there you go. GC7 JPNR. So that is Jasmer Puzzle Nature Rating.
There you go.
GC7 Jasmer Puzzle Nature Rating is the GC code for that. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate that. I
think this is Zach. Zach just posted one here. There's his. So he did a fizzy, 81 of them.
Wow.
So that if you want to keep in mind that they don't all have to end in a GeoTrail. You can do a lot of different things in them.
Yep.
They can be neat containers and fun hides, just like that. But just tell them, because people are going to be expecting a power trail when they come out there.
Yep. Zach's GC6 JB48.
Yeah.
Jasmer Bison. Jasmer Bison 48. Sorry about that. I
have to get that one on my next trip out to South Dakota.
Yep. But that's a really good point, Jesse, because somebody mentioned this week on Twitter, they're like, "Oh, I don't like Geoart because it's just boring."
Right.
Doesn't have to be boring. Don't let it be boring. Make the containers unique, or creative in a sense, or maybe not all of them, but you could do a mixture.
Yeah, like every 10, make a large. You know, which is a good
that's like
extra containers. By the way,
I helped Nebraska with their state star.
Yeah,
which is another total subject. The stars are in each state, and at the end of each point of their star, they put an ammo can.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So, and of course, I had access to ammo cans, so painted them all up with their logo, with the 50 states and all that. So, yeah, do it where it's something enjoyable, because I'm personally the same way. I'm not a power trail cacher. I don't like going out and just driving down the street. Now, I will do ET Highway 1 just because it's there.
Absolutely.
But it's not something I enjoy. It's not the style of caching I enjoy personally.
Right.
But if it's one I'm looking at on my list is Infernal Device. Had a group just go down and do that one in Oklahoma. There's now a Geoart.
Yep.
So the Infernal Device Geoart, I'm looking forward to it because I was told that the final, because he made a final for it, is more interesting than the original Infernal Device geocache.
Oh my gosh!
That would be something, because Infernal geocache is in the 201 geocaches to find before you die. So, that's
and there's all different styles of geocaching.
Oh, that book, yeah, that's
I got that book.
That book right there. Oh, hey, there we go. I
got one too.
There we go. Yeah. But still, that's cool.
It's just one more thing to add to the landscape, right? Because you always want to do different things, and plus, as cachers, we like to check all the blocks, right? So hiding or finding a geocache is one more block to check.
Yep. The Wisconsin Star had all ammo cans for their points. That's a great idea.
Like that too. There were some ammo cans, and then the final, you solved all of them, and it gave you the coordinates for the final. And the final was like a really cool painted up large ammo can with American flag and the Colorado flag and everything on it. It was really neat.
Yeah, we're getting ready to do a new Kansas Star one here soon. Because Kansas Star was another one that had people getting guns spooled on them, so they finally just archived it. So we're getting ready.
Yeah, you really need to make sure your area is friendly to the people around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, that's for sure. But give it some planning. Give it some time to think about. I mean, if you have hopefully you have the time ahead of time, plan ahead. And make it fun. Like let's make this comment by this person on Twitter. Something of the past where Geoart, for whatever reason, he sees it was completely boring. Well, maybe trail runs aren't necessarily bad either.
No.
And a small geo trail doesn't have to be. Now, when you're getting up into the 200 to 300, you're going to be going a distance.
Right.
The first Geoart I was talking about was Geocaching Forever. It wasn't a get in the car and drive. Each letter was in its own part, and you parked the car and had to walk each cache.
Oh, wow. So it's some work.
Yeah, it wasn't a driving trail. It's all how you make it. Just think of the kind of caches you like, just like with any geocache.
Yeah, you're only limited by your imagination. There's nothing to say that the actual caches couldn't be along a waterway for kayaking.
Oh,
you can do all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So you're really, if you find it boring and you've never seen a good one out there, change that.
Right.
So find a way to change that and make one that's not boring. Make one that's in the style that you want.
Yep. It's just like anything in caching. Do it where you would enjoy it. Just because you own it, do it how you would want to go find it, even though you won't be able to claim it.
Right.
You can do all kinds of stuff. Hang them off the side of a mountain, put them in the water, just make them scuba. There could be a scuba Geoart. I mean, you could do –
that'd be wild.
Hey, you could do traditionals then, right? You just put them all in the bottom of a lake somewhere. That's – Scott said it perfect right there. Yep. How would you like to find?
I like it.
I like that. We were just talking about how to do a Geoart. What to do is totally up to your imagination. You can do anything you want to, and if there's nothing creative out there, put something creative out there. If you're into it. It's absolutely available. There's land. We haven't taken up all the spots yet.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Hughes text David a good point. It'd be nice to have a list of Geoarts. If somebody knows of a list,
I'm looking for it now.
Oh, okay, cool. So
I know there are a few bookmark lists that'll bookmark like the number one Geoarts out there on geocaching.com.
Yeah.
I don't know of a comprehensive list of all of them though.
There's a website that has contacted me with the megas that they actually keep a list of them all. I'm trying to find that website now.
Okay, we'll put a link to those in our resources if we can then.
Yeah, and Dave, we'll put that also if we find it. We can put it in the show notes. But okay, where are we at? I can have fun all night, but
no, I know, but
you guys are in charge of this one. So
the big thing is take some time planning, get some people to help you, come up with your image idea that you're doing, settle on that really good, pass it around, make sure the people like it, and there's no like, oh, that actually looks like something else. Make sure you have if you're doing a creative image, it's not a logo.
That's good.
And then really think through the type of cache. Don't limit yourself on the type of caches that you're putting out there. I know everybody's thinking, I just want to do Wherigo because they're the best, but you can do all kinds of cache types.
Where'd that come from? Did I hear that somewhere?
I don't see that comment anywhere.
And then whether you're using the old school way or the new school, like the high tech way or whatever other way, because there's tons of ways to do the actual planning.
Right.
Plan, replan, but really, get permission, check the area, make multiple trips to see if you're drawing attention day and night to the area. Check what you're going to do. And then, work with your reviewer ahead of time. And then don't limit yourself. Like, that's a boring power trail. Don't make it one.
Yeah. I like
something totally different. Make them all up in trees or make, in the water or make them, you get there and you got to solve another puzzle when you get there to open the container. Who knows? It could be anything.
Yeah.
You're only limited by your imagination and patience when it comes to this.
Yeah. Yep. All right. You want to you ready to do final thoughts, or is that your final thought?
Yeah. Yes. Or we'll just keep talking about this all night, right?
Okay. Ryan, what is your final thought?
I think Jesse actually summed it up pretty well.
He did.
Go through it and ask for help, because I know personally when it comes to GSAC and other programs that are out there, and I learned something new this week with and I use Cashly about having the unlisted publishers out there.
Yeah.
Ask other people who set them up, because everybody finds something different. I'll be contacting Eric here soon. Probably also contact Sodak Zach and anybody who's done a lot of these GeoArts, because times change. Some of the programs that I used 2 years ago are no longer out there. GSAC has cut back on some of their macros.
Right.
So ask for help, because some of these people had the macro, but they don't have it shared. They use it personally, and maybe they can share it with you type things. So never be afraid to ask for help. Like you said, get a team, get a bunch of people to do it, because it's a long process.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
It can be a really fun process, and it's always neat to be a part of something. Even if you're not spearheading it, other people may want to spearhead the group. Get involved and have fun with it and see what it's like behind the scenes of it. It always helps to have that behind the scenes knowledge of these things.
Absolutely. And, like you said, maybe a little group would be better, because maybe somebody doing the containers might do a better job of that part, where you might be better at the planning of the Geoart, or you might be better at the planning of the physical container locations or anything like that. So there's always the possibilities for that. So, All right. Lots of cool stuff, guys. You guys did great tonight.
Maybe we'll have some updates on this as that new one shows up in Kansas. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh, wait. How about
new one in Kansas?
What? Oh, maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah, or maybe not. Who knows? All right. Well, so as I mentioned before, 175.5 will be Tuesday. I'll get the information out for everybody to know, but just plan Tuesday night to hop on our show that night. Keep an eye out for that because we got major announcements that night. So major. So we're looking forward to giving that information. Can I give it now? Can I just do it?
Sure.
You want to.
No, I can't do that. I tell you what, it's so big. Even I would want to do it till Tuesday because it's incredible. Right. But then Sunday, next Sunday, we've got the 3 Happy Campers will be on the show for show 176. Looking forward to that. We had some great talks at the Vloggers Summit last year, and looking forward to having them on the show and talking a little bit about Tennessee caching. And so I want to get the word out to everybody in Tennessee. We're going to talk about that area a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about maybe you're interested in doing vlogs. This is a husband and wife who are a couple. Sounds better maybe, but something different. And that's what we try to do every week is give you a little bit different show. Looking forward to that. That'll be fun. And of course, in 2 weeks, 12/1, it's the big day. It's the 4th annual Podcast of Hope. We are going to raise at least $5,000, if not more, for St. Jude. Yes, $5,000. We got a ton of cool things to give away to our donors, and more to come on that. But just plan on being along for that. Somebody asked me the other day when it is. It is from 4 p.m. to midnight on December 1st, and that is Central Standard Time. Mm-hmm. So convert that into your own time zone, please. But we are going to have 8 incredible shows. We always have great people on. We will go over the list of people on later, but trust me, they're going to be fabulous shows this year. So that is in 2 weeks. And in 3 weeks, oh, thanks, Hodag. Yeah, been plugging a podcast. I appreciate that.
Yeah, anybody that can plug it. We're trying to. This is the one time we really need to spread the word and
absolutely. And that's something too. I just want to mention real fast is if you tend to just like our tweets, if you would please do instead if you would retweet if you ever see one of our tweets about there you are, there it is, geocachingcentral.com. Deadliest Cachers helps with that, does that /Geoart. Awesome. Mm-hmm. So there it is and we'll put that in the show notes as well. Mm-hmm. Scott mentioned about the Happy Campers. Yeah, looking forward to that. In 3 weeks, as we wrap up tonight, I want to mention in 3 weeks, Kitty Catch is going to be on the show. Kitty Catch lives in Australia, and we're going to talk about her recent trip to Europe and get some ideas. She has some great ideas of what she used to plan her geocaching in all those various countries in that continent. So she's going to give us a lot of cool tips on what to do. Even we'll be able to use them in whatever country you live in. So looking forward to Kitty Catch being on the show. That's going to be a lot of fun to do. So, all right. I think we are set. Let me do our outro. Here we go.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight, as well as our new format. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.